Run. Tell your empire their days are numbered. Ryan Bennett spat into the cum, his voice seething with a fury that the cold vacuum of space couldn't contain. Ryan stood over the lifeless body of his sister, Olivia, as the Galactic Empire's soldiers retreated, leaving devastation in their wake. The scent of scorched earth and burnt metal filled the air, mingling with the cries of mourning survivors. Clenching his fists, Ryan's eyes burned with tears and rage. This brutal act would not go unanswered. In the dimly lit resistance hideout, Ryan addressed the gathered factions. They took Olivia from us, but they won't take our spirit. We unite today, not just for revenge, but for freedom. Murmurs of agreement filled the room, but doubts lingered. How can we fight them? A voice questioned from the shadows. We fight with our minds and hearts, Ryan declared, fire igniting in his eyes. We build better machines, smarter tactics. We make them regret ever underestimating us. Ryan's first step was to recruit the best engineer he knew, Sarah. In her cluttered workshop, surrounded by half-finished projects, Sarah looked up as Ryan entered. I heard about Olivia. I'm in, she said before he could even ask. Together, they started designing advanced war machines, more agile and powerful than the Empire's. Late nights and early mornings blurred as the plans took shape. This is for you, Olivia, Ryan whispered to a photo of his sister pinned above his workstation. Ryan's determination was unyielding. He spent every waking hour planning, coordinating, and ensuring their preparations were flawless. Sarah's engineering brilliance was a beacon of hope. Her innovative designs were unlike anything the Resistance had seen before. Drones, mechs, and enhanced spacecraft began to take form under her skillful hands. In a rare moment of quiet, Sarah looked up from her work, grease smudged on her cheek. You know, Ryan, this isn't just about Olivia anymore. It's about all of us. Ryan nodded, the weight of her words sinking in. I know. But losing her, it lit a fire in me that won't burn out. Word of their efforts spread, drawing more rebels to their cause. The hideout buzzed with activity as fighters, technicians, and strategists united under Ryan's leadership. They worked tirelessly, driven by a shared purpose. Every victory, no matter how small, was a step closer to freedom. One evening, Ryan stood before the growing crowd. We've suffered, we've lost, but now we stand together. Today, we start a fire that will burn across the stars. The room erupted in cheers, a tangible shift in morale. Ryan's resolve hardened. They were ready to strike back. Ryan approached the com station, his fingers hovering over the controls. This is Ryan Bennett, leader of the Resistance. To all human colonies, join us. Together, we will bring the Empire to its knees. As the message broadcast across the galaxy, Ryan's thoughts drifted to Olivia. Her bright smile, her laughter, her unwavering belief in justice. Her death was the catalyst, but now the fight was for everyone who had suffered under the Empire's tyranny. Ryan turned to Sarah, determination etched on his face. Let's get to work. We have a galaxy to free. Sarah nodded, her eyes reflecting his steely resolve. For Olivia, for all of us. With each passing day, their resolve grew stronger, their plans more refined. The spark of rebellion had been ignited, and there was no turning back. The Empire would soon learn that they had awakened a force far more powerful than they could have ever anticipated. The fight for freedom had begun. Ryan's next challenge was uniting the fractured Resistance factions scattered across the galaxy. Each group had its own leaders and agendas, and Ryan needed to convince them that their best chance was to stand together. He traveled to the moon of Elysium, a hotbed of Resistance activity. Damon, the Elysium rebels' leader, was a seasoned warrior, skeptical of outsiders. The room where they met was dimly lit, filled with the murmur of cautious voices. What makes you think you can lead us? Damon challenged, his voice a low growl. I don't want to lead you, Ryan replied calmly. I want to unite us. We share a common enemy. Damon's eyes narrowed as he studied Ryan. You've got guts, Bennett. All right, Let's see if you can bring the others on board. Over the following weeks, Ryan and Damon traveled from colony to colony, meeting with different factions. Each encounter was fraught with tension. In a dusty outpost on Terra Nova, Ryan faced a particularly hostile group led by a burly man named Carl. "We've been fighting alone for years," Carl spat. "Why should we trust you now?" Ryan met Carl's glare steadily. "Because alone, we're weak. Together, we're a force the Empire can't ignore." Carl's scowl deepened, but a spark of interest flickered in his eyes. "All right, Bennett. Convince me." Ryan outlined his plan, emphasizing unity and shared resources. Slowly, skepticism turned to grudging acceptance. Each successful meeting brought new resources and fighters into the fold, their numbers growing stronger with each alliance. In one crucial meeting, a young resistance fighter named Leo approached Ryan. His eyes were filled with determination. "I saw what they did to your sister. I'm ready to fight," he said, his voice trembling with emotion. Ryan placed a hand on Leo's shoulder. "We fight together for everyone they've hurt." Back on Elysium, the newly formed coalition gathered for a strategic briefing. Maps and holograms of enemy positions filled the room. Ryan stood at the center, his voice clear and commanding. "Our first target is the Empire's communication relay on the moon of Vesper," he said, pointing to a glowing dot on the map. "If we take it out, we disrupt their coordination. It's risky, but it's essential." Damon nodded in agreement. "We'll hit them hard and fast." The room buzzed with nervous energy. Sarah, Ryan's engineer, joined them, her hands stained with grease and a determined look in her eyes. "I've upgraded our drones," she said, showing off a sleek new model. "They'll give us the edge we need." Ryan smiled, feeling a surge of hope. "This is what we've been working for. Let's make it count." The coalition launched its first coordinated strike against the relay. As they moved through the shadows, tension was palpable. "Stay sharp," Ryan whispered. "No mistakes." They breached the compound's defenses, planting explosives with precision. As they slipped away, the relay erupted in flames, casting a fierce glow against the night sky. Back at their base, the coalition celebrated their victory. Ryan watched as factions that once distrusted each other now shared stories and plans. He felt a sense of accomplishment, but knew the road ahead was still fraught with danger. "We've shown them we can fight back," Damon said, raising a glass. "Now we need to keep the pressure on." Ryan nodded. "This is just the beginning. We have a long way to go, but we're on the right path." As the celebration continued, Ryan stepped outside, gazing at the stars. "We're doing it, Olivia," he whispered. "We're making a difference." The night sky seemed to shimmer in response, a silent promise of the battles yet to come and the hope that drove them all. Ryan stood on the bridge of his command ship, the Resistance Dawn, his gaze fixed on the holographic map of the galaxy. Red markers showed the Empire's outposts, each a reminder of their oppressive rule. Tonight, they'd strike back. "We hit the supply depot first," Ryan instructed, pointing to the blinking red dot. "It's lightly guarded but crucial to their operations." Sarah, standing beside him, nodded. "Our drones are ready. This will send a clear message." The team assembled in the docking bay, tension palpable. Leo checked his gear, his hands shaking slightly. Ryan clapped a reassuring hand on his shoulder. "We're ready for this. Stick to the plan, and we'll make it out." As the shuttle descended towards the depot, the night was eerily silent. Ryan's heart pounded in his chest. "Stay sharp," he whispered. "No mistakes." They slipped through the perimeter, shadows among shadows. Ryan's breath caught as they neared the storage tanks. He signaled Sarah to set the charges. 5 minutes, she mouthed, her fingers flying over the detonator. Just as they finished, a patrol appeared. Leo's eyes widened. "We've been spotted. Move, now," Ryan commanded. The team sprinted for cover as blaster fire erupted around them. The depot was a flurry of chaos and alarms. Ryan took cover behind a crate, returning fire. Sarah, status. Charges set, she yelled back. 2 minutes. The minutes felt like hours. Ryan's focus narrowed to the task at hand. Survive until the explosion. He glanced at Leo, who was holding his ground, firing steadily. Stay with me, Leo. An explosion rocked the depot, fire lighting up the sky. The team dashed towards the extraction point, the heat from the blaze warming their backs. As they boarded the shuttle, Ryan looked back at the inferno. One small victory, he muttered, but it's a start. The shuttle's ramp closed, and they lifted off, leaving the burning depot behind. In the relative safety of the ship, Ryan allowed himself a small smile. Good work, everyone. We made them hurt tonight. The Empire's retaliation came swiftly. Admiral Morax himself led the counterattack, his reputation as a ruthless tactician well earned. Hunt them down, Morax ordered, his voice cold and unyielding. Show no mercy. Resistance cells faced relentless assaults. In one brutal engagement, Ryan's group barely escaped a heavily fortified outpost. The cost was high, each victory shadowed by the loss of comrades. Ryan mourned each fallen fighter, their sacrifices fueling his resolve. During a rare quiet moment, Sarah approached Ryan, her face smudged with grease. We're not just fighting back, she said, her voice firm. We're winning. Bit by bit, we're making a difference. Ryan nodded, staring at the map. But at what cost? Every loss feels like a part of me dies too. Sarah's gaze softened. They knew the risks, Ryan. We all did. But we're fighting for something bigger than ourselves. That's what keeps us going. Ryan's eyes met hers, finding strength in her determination. You're right. We can't stop now. Olivia's death will be avenged, and we'll free our people. Their next target was an Empire communications hub, crucial for disrupting their operations. As they planned the assault, Ryan felt a sense of purpose solidify within him. This wasn't just about revenge anymore. It was about liberation, about hope. Tomorrow, Ryan announced to his team, we strike again. For every fallen comrade, for every family torn apart. We'll show them that humanity will not be broken. And as the Resistance Dawn glided silently through space, Ryan knew they were on the path to something greater, freedom. Ryan stood on the bridge of his ship, the flickering lights reflecting the steely resolve in his eyes. Today, we stand as one, he broadcast to the fleet. For our fallen, for our future, we fight. The silence of space erupted into chaos as the Resistance fleet clashed with the Empire's armada. Ryan's advanced fighter, sleek and agile, darted through the fray, dodging enemy fire. Explosions lit up the void, a symphony of destruction and hope. Stay in formation. Ryan barked into his com, his voice steady despite the adrenaline coursing through him. He knew their target, the Empire's flagship, a behemoth of metal and death commanded by the notorious Admiral Morax. On the Empire's bridge, Morax stood with his usual icy calm. Focus on their leader, he ordered. Crush their hope. Ryan's heart pounded as he navigated his fighter through the thick of battle. Sarah, give me a status update, he called out. We're holding, but barely, Sarah's voice crackled through. Drones are providing cover, but we need to hit that flagship now. Ryan's eyes locked onto the massive ship ahead. Understood. Cover me, he commanded, determination hardening his features. He dove towards the flagship, enemy fighters swarming to intercept. Leo, I need support, he yelled. On your 6, Ryan, Leo responded, his fighters swooping in to clear a path. Ryan's hands danced over the controls, his mind a blur of calculations and reflex. He weaved through enemy fire, his every move precise. The flagship loomed larger, its defenses tightening. Almost there, Ryan muttered, aligning his sights on the flagship's weak point. A thermal exhaust port. He armed his missiles, sweat dripping down his temple. Inside the flagship, Morax watched the approaching fighter. He increased defensive firepower. He roared. The ship's guns intensified, a hail of laser beams crisscrossing the space. Ryan gritted his teeth. "Hold steady," he whispered to himself. His fighter shook as it took a glancing hit, alarms blaring. He ignored them, his focus unbroken. Missiles locked. Sarah's voice came through. "Fire when ready." Ryan exhaled slowly. "This is for Olivia," he whispered, pressing the trigger. The missiles shot forward, streaking towards the exhaust port. The flagship's defenses scrambled to intercept, but it was too late. The missiles struck their target, detonating with a blinding flash. The flagship shuddered, flames bursting from its hull. "Direct hit," Leo shouted. "She's going down." On the bridge, Morax's calm shattered. "Evacuate," he ordered, but the panic in his voice betrayed him. The ship groaned and tilted, systems failing. Ryan pulled his fighter away, watching as the flagship erupted in a series of explosions. The resistance fleet cheered, their victory palpable. As the smoke cleared, Ryan's comm crackled with Sarah's voice. "We did it, Ryan. The flagship is destroyed." Ryan allowed himself a rare smile. "Good work, everyone. Regroup and prepare for evacuation." He landed his fighter on the resistance carrier, greeted by the weary but triumphant faces of his comrades. The cost had been high, but the payoff was worth it. Ryan addressed the survivors, his voice carrying the weight of their shared struggle. "We've won a great victory today, but the fight isn't over. We'll rebuild, stronger than ever." Later, alone on the bridge, Ryan gazed at the stars, a sense of peace washing over him. "We did it, Olivia," he whispered. "Your death wasn't in vain." With the flagship destroyed and the resistance united, hope sparked anew in the galaxy. The battle had been won, but the war for freedom continued, driven by the memory of those they had lost and the promise of a brighter future.